for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
Howdy, everybody. What's going on? It is Pushing the Limits on a very, very, very busy news day on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate all of you joining us on the FM AM dial. Of course, KSHP, the Occupy Democrats Network on Facebook, Washington Press Network. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. We're everywhere, and we appreciate it again. Of course, you guys making us a part of your afternoon. There's a Mike Lindell interview that's come out by a guy by the name of Adam Mockler outside a Trump rally. It went viral, over 1 million views. Adam, who conducted the interview, who I thought did a great job, is going to be joining us in hour number 2. We're going to dissect that a little bit. I think I'm pretty confident. I'm not 100% on this, but I've been allowed to say that there's a good chance that Donald J. Trump will be joining us on the show coming up at the bottom of the hour. So we're hoping to get at least 10 minutes with the former president. A lot of big news to discuss today, actually. And I think the biggest is this that I'm about to talk about with all of you right now. So all these right-wing buffoons out there for months, even the last few years, have been saying Joe Biden's not going to agree to debate Donald Trump. That's not going to happen. He's too old. He's going to coward out. He's not going to do it. He's not capable at 81 years old debating Donald J. Trump. Well, they all have egg on their face today. Will they retract any of their statements? Of course they won't, because they're MAGA Republicans. They never retract things they say that are completely untrue. But the Biden and the Trump campaign have agreed already to do 2 debates, and there are some ground rules. The first one being on CNN, which is, by the way, a lot earlier than I even thought Joe Biden would agree to do it. I always thought Joe Biden would agree to a debate. I just wasn't sure when. I think this is a very big and very important and positive day for Joe Biden and a step in the right direction, because he is the one that needs to prove to some of the American people that he is still competent for the job. And all Joe Biden has to do, he doesn't even have to win voters necessarily. All he has to do is hold ground, which I believe he will be able to do. And the first debate is going to be at the end of June. It's going to be a CNN debate. And there are ground rules, which I absolutely and positively agree with. In fact, they should have these kinds of ground rules at every single debate. If you remember in the first debate back in 2020, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, Donald Trump interrupted Joe Biden every other word. It was bad for the American people. It wasn't just bad for Trump. It was bad for everybody. Debates shouldn't be about entertaining people. Now, I know there's a lot within the MAGA crowd that all they care about is a reality TV star that just insults people. It doesn't matter whether it's a POW. It doesn't matter whether it's a woman based on looks. They don't care. Those people are what Hillary Clinton called deplorables. But that's not what debates are about. Debates should not be about entertaining people. It should be about substance, policy. What has the current president done? What does he want to do if he gets reelected? What does the other opponent want to do? That's what debates should be about. So in the ground rules, number 1, which I completely agree with, and even those on the far right seem to agree with, turn the other candidate's microphone off when the other candidate is speaking. Interruptions are not allowed. I agree with that 150%. Quite frankly, I don't know why anybody would disagree with that. And the Trump campaign agreed to that term. The other term would be there will be no live audience. In my personal opinion, there should be no live audience in a presidential debate, or any debate for that matter. Why? Because all crowds can do is be biased, interrupt with loud chants, protesters can be in the crowd. All you can get is negative. Everybody's going to be able to watch it on TV live, and that's fine for me. Now, if you want to allow members of the media there, that's different. Of course, they're allowing people to do that. So there's going to be no live crowd. And the microphones are going to be turned off when the other person is not speaking. This isn't about a show, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't a live show. This isn't a concert. I'm going to see Pearl Jam tomorrow night with some friends. Okay, that's a live audience. Debates aren't about people screaming and yelling and chanting and hollering. This isn't a basketball game, right? I went to the Las Vegas Aces game yesterday. That was a great live audience. Debates don't need live audiences. This is a joke. So Trump's people have already agreed to it. Joe Biden's people have already agreed to it. All Joe Biden has to do is prove that he's still mentally capable of finishing the job and being reelected for the next 4 years. And my good friend Joe Walsh, who does this show all the time, he came on the other day, and he basically echoed what I said earlier this morning on social media, which is Biden taking the fight to Trump is the only way he wins, because Biden has something to prove and Trump doesn't. Everyone knows what Trump is, what an a-hole he is. So when it comes to Trump, the American people just have to decide if they want that a-hole back in the White House. But Biden is the one who has to prove something to the American people. He has to prove he's up for the job, that he's not too old. And that's all he has to prove. That's it. And if we can do that, or if he can do that, he wins in November. So challenging Trump to an early debate is a damn good start. I agree. I agree 100%. This is a great decision by the Biden camp. It's good to do this early. I think Biden will do just fine. He did fine in the other debates back in 2020. I think and he doesn't have to do great. He just has to do okay, right? Prove to the American people. Trump's going to be on the offensive. He's going to attack. But I got to be honest with you, this is much earlier than I thought this first debate would happen. I was a little bit surprised. Now, there are people on the far right that are spreading propaganda and, again, more conspiracy theories. First, it was Biden's a coward and he's not going to agree to a debate. They're certainly not going to retract those statements, even though they were 100% wrong. And I knew they were wrong when I said it. Now the new conspiracy theories coming from the far right are, well, the reason why they're doing this debate so early is if Biden bombs, they'll have a replacement ready and they'll have enough time. That's the conspiracy theory being put forth from the right. And obviously, I disagree with that. I think the reason why the Biden camp is deciding to do this debate in June and doing it early is because they want to send a message to the American people early that he is up for the job and he can debate and he is just fine and he's ready for another 4 years. So this is, I think if you're a Biden supporter, this is really good news. I think if you're a Trump supporter, this is probably not good news, because the only way this is a positive for Donald Trump is if he knocks it out of the park and Joe Biden just continues to stumble over his words. I think that's the only positive for Trump. Biden doesn't even have to win the debate. All he has to do, in my personal opinion, is just get through the debate. Get through the debate where you're not losing voters. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think he's going to do just fine. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But it's certainly going to be interesting. Debates are not made for entertainment, right? Debates are supposed to be for substance. Debates are supposed to be for one candidate versus another, explaining differences on policy and why you're the right person for the job. It's not about entertainment. You don't need a live audience. And I actually applaud the agreement to turn the microphone off. That hurts Donald Trump because all he does is interrupt with his snarky, rude comments. So that absolutely helps Joe Biden, and I can understand why they wanted to put that in place. Now, on the other side of things, I will defend some of the Trumpers, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine on social media, Carmine Sabia, who's a right-wing pundit, and he said, listen, the Biden camp should agree to do a Fox News debate since Donald Trump agreed to do a CNN debate. I think that's fair. That's a valid point, and hopefully Joe Biden will agree to do that. But this is good for the country. This is not a bad thing for the country. This is a good thing for the country to see these two candidates up there on the stage. Now, I'll tell you the guy that is pissed off, a guy that did this show last week, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he is not happy. Why? Because he is not to be put on the stage. Listen, to his credit, there's a reason for that. It's because Trump and Biden are a little bit scared of him taking votes away from them, and they do not want him anywhere near that debate stage. Do I think that's fair? Probably not. Probably not. I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. probably, even though I won't vote for him, he probably deserves to be on that debate stage. I don't know how all of you think about that, but I don't know how you guys think about that, but I think it's probably a little bit unfair. I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. deserves to be on that debate stage, but he's not. He's not. And that's the, both the Trump camp and the Biden camp didn't want him on there. So it's not one side, it's both sides. So I think that's maybe a testament to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Both sides are afraid of him. Put the guy on the stage. Let him stand there. Let him answer questions. What's the problem? So I will take Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s side on this one. He deserves to be on that debate stage, at least for one debate. Give the guy one debate at least. So I think that's unfortunate, and I think this is, again, politics being played, and sad. So while all this stuff was going on, you had a group of MAGA morons that were outside the courtroom and inside the courtroom wearing their red ties. People out there like Vivek Ramaswamy, people out there like Eric Trump and other politicians and Mike Johnson. So I want you to listen to these complete buffoons, quite frankly, an embarrassment to the country, embarrassment to the Republican Party, coddling to Donald Trump because so many of them want to be Donald Trump's vice president. Have a listen to this little campaign ad. They want to get contributions for Donald Trump. So they decided to put this campaign ad in this fundraiser video together just outside the courtroom. It doesn't get more pathetic than this. Have a listen.
Here in court with President Trump standing with him, but we need you to stand with him too. Go to donaldjtrump.com. Support President Trump in his efforts to win this election. These Democrats are nuts and they must be defeated.
Anything you can give would make a world of difference. We are here fighting the good fight. They cannot win. We need your help to make America great again.
This year, now or never for the country. Step up. Save this country. We're counting on you.
We know the lawfare that's going on, and only you can make the difference. Stand with President Trump the way we stand with him today. Look at what they're doing to him, and just remember his words. They're not coming after him. They're coming after you, and he's just in the way.
Let's make America great again. And he's the man to do it.
It's the man.
Yeah, Donald Trump showing up there late. What a joke. They're fighting the good fight. They're in a courtroom because the guy that they support is facing over 30 felony counts in this case, facing close to 90 felony counts, and they're asking people to donate money. Hey, listen, I'll be very clear on this one. If you're a Donald Trump supporter, I want you to just donate all your money to Donald Trump. Give up your kids, college tuition money, all of your savings. Just buy a bunch of Bibles and buy a bunch of gold sneakers. I'm all for it. Go right ahead and do it, because if you're dumb enough to do that, then you don't deserve any money. That's my personal opinion. So go ahead and do it. Fighting the good fight. It's going to happen to you. That's the message I hear from Republicans that are MAGA supporters today. If it could happen to him, it could happen to you. No, it hasn't happened to Joe Biden. It hasn't happened to any other presidential candidate. It's happened to Donald Trump because he decided to falsify business records and have unprotected sex with a porn star, and then try to hide it 2 weeks before an election. It happened to Donald Trump because he defied a subpoena for a year and stole classified documents and did not, I guess the word that I would use is he didn't cooperate with the DOJ. It happened to Donald Trump because he's continually lied about the 2020 election. And then we had something called January 6th where he did nothing for 4.5 hours except sit on his ass. So, no, it's not happening to me because I've never incited an insurrection. It's not happening to me because I've never paid anybody hush money to quiet them because I was running for office. I've never paid anybody hush money to begin with, by the way. It's not happening to me because I've never had a subpoena, let alone defied it for a year. So, no, it's not going to happen to me, Lara Trump. It's happening to Donald Trump because he did this to himself. Whether you want to blame Democrats for it or liberals, or you want to blame, the media or George Soros, it's happening because this is Donald Trump's own behavior, whether you think this is politically motivated or not. Listen to this fool, Mike Johnson. I mean, this guy is such a disgrace. The House Speaker flying out to New York wearing his little red tie like the imbecile that he is, preaching the Bible all the time, and meanwhile talking about what a wholesome, good Christian he is, defending the guy. Forget about even the criminality. What about the behavior? The guy who preaches and lives by the Bible every day, if that's not crazy enough. Yes, I do think that's crazy. Flies out to New York. And the guy that he's supporting, we all know, had unprotected sex with a porn star just a few weeks after Melania had their child, Barron. This guy preaches the Bible every day, and now he's wearing the Donald Trump knee pads. Here's what this moron, Mike Johnson, had to say outside the courtroom yesterday.
What we've got here is a partisan Democrat district attorney. We have a Biden donor judge, and we have an assistant DA who was recently a top official at the Department of Justice, Biden's DOJ, and recently received over $10,000 in payments from the Democratic National Committee. The star witness here is Michael Cohen. I just listened to a few moments of his testimony this morning, and it is consistent with what he's already done. This is a man who is clearly on a mission for personal revenge and who is widely known as a witness who has trouble with the truth. He is someone who has a history of perjury and is well known for it. No one should believe a word he says today.
So somebody that has trouble with the truth and nobody should listen to a word he says, isn't that the guy that you support? And by the way, even if you want to try to discredit Michael Cohen, what about all the other witnesses that have taken the stand under oath that have basically all said the same? That Donald Trump did this because he wanted to make sure that he won the 2016 election. He wanted to make sure that this story didn't get out to the general public. That had nothing to do with Melania Trump. It had nothing to do with his family, and had everything to do with him trying to win the 2016 election and hiding it from the American people. That is the definition of election interference. Doesn't matter whether you think Michael Cohen is credible or not. That doesn't matter. And this guy who tried to overturn the outcome of a free and fair election back in 2020, that's right, that's the Republican House Speaker, even though Moscow Marjorie wants her out. This is the guy that wants to preach to us and talk to us about character and about truth. Let me tell you something. When somebody lies, usually there's a reason for it, right? When Michael Cohen was lying, whether it be to the DOJ, whoever he was lying to, it was at the expense lying for Donald Trump. There's a reason why people lie, right? I would imagine we've all lied from time to time. You have a reason for lying. What would be Michael Cohen's reason for lying now other than, well, maybe retribution? He wants to put Donald Trump in jail. Okay. There are actual physical documents to corroborate everything that Michael Cohen has said on the witness stand. Everything. So if you don't believe Michael Cohen, I ask all of you MAGAs another question. I thought Donald Trump only hired the best people. Didn't we hear that for years? I hire the best. Michael Cohen was his personal attorney. Meadows, Powell, these people that are flipping on Donald Trump, testifying against him. How about all the people that Donald Trump hired, all the generals and all the people in his administration who are not only not supporting him for president, but they have endorsed Joe Biden? If he only hired the best people, then why does he now attack all these people who have flipped on him? Why is that? I only hire the best people. You know, Trump really, puts his foot in his mouth, doesn't he? Almost on a daily basis. Do you remember when he said, if you plead the fifth, you're probably guilty? How many times has Donald Trump and his entire family pled the fifth just in the last year? This is indefensible. If you don't like Joe Biden and you don't like his policies, fine. Let's have that conversation. But I had the chair of the Republican Party here in the state of Nevada, the former chair, Amy Tarkanian, call in. I'm trying to get her to vote for Joe Biden, but she ain't voting for Donald Trump. She was a staunch Donald Trump supporter. I'll open up the phone lines now. We have a few minutes to take some calls here, and then I believe, possibly could be receiving a call from Donald J. Trump. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It could be at the bottom of the hour. I can't promise you, but we're working on it. Number to call right now, if you're not the president of the United States or the former president, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you do want to be a part of the conversation, is 702-221-7283. And a programming note coming up in hour number 2, guy by the name of Adam Mockler. He has a very popular YouTube page. He interviewed Mike Lindell outside of a Donald Trump event. It went viral because it didn't go very well for Mike Lindell. We're going to play you parts of that interview, and we're going to have Adam join us to talk about that. There was a point in the interview where he was surrounded by a bunch of MAGA supporters. It looked like a Klan rally. It was very scary. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program. But what are we talking about today? Well, yes, I want to get your thoughts on the debates. Do you think this is good or a positive or negative for Joe Biden, Donald Trump? I want to get your thoughts on that. Do you agree with the demands put forth by the Biden administration and the Biden camp? Microphones turned off. I think that was probably a smart thing to do. No live crowd, which I also am in agreement of. And what about all the MAGA supporters out there? What about all the Trump supporters out there that said Joe Biden was a coward and, he wasn't going to agree to any debates? What happened to that? What happened to all those people today, the Sean Hannitys of the world who all said, Biden's not going to agree to debate because he knows he's going to get destroyed? What happened to all those people? I'm just curious on that. All right, one phone line open, 702-221-7283. All right, now we have all busy phone lines, as usual on PTL. But the number to call if you want to keep trying in, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. All right, let's see. Who do we go to first here? Let's go to Mark. Mark is first up on Pushing Limits. Mark, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, man?
Oh, I didn't expect to get on this quick.
Well,
but,
you win. You're the lottery winner. Go right ahead.
There's a lot. No matter what you say to a QAnon rabbit Trump supporter that's in the rabbit hole, Christ himself could come down, explain, and they would not believe him.
Yeah.
We could look at Flynn, who was a general in the military, who was convicted only to be pardoned by Trump. What about Paul Manafort, who was convicted only to be pardoned by Trump?
Correct.
Sohn, who was charged. How about Gates, pleaded guilty?
Yep.
Vanderswan, sentenced. Michael Cohen went to prison because of Trump, because he wrote a book.
Well,
And
listen,
how
what you're saying is 100%
Sure.
true, but I want to ask you a question. I'm curious what your answer is. I know you're anti-Trump just like I am. What do you think about RFK Jr. not being allowed on the debate stage? I actually have a little bit of a problem with that. I don't. What do you think about that?
All right. I'm gonna give you my. You may not agree.
Okay, that's fine.
But this is
Yep.
this is my true thought.
Okay.
Now, I know how the Republican Party picks their nominee. You have to get a certain amount of wins,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And they get the final say. Even if you don't win all the states, the Republican RNC can pick who they want to be the candidate.
Yeah.
Now, I like the way the Democrats pick their candidates for presidency. They do it fair, they do it square, they do it by how many states they win.
Yeah.
What I feel about him taking the stage, I totally agree with both camps that he should not be on the stage.
All right.
And
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
think
give
if he's on the ballot, I think if he's on the ballot, I think he has the right. If he's on the ballot in many states across the country, I think he should have the right to take the stage. You're right. We disagree on that, but I do respect your opinion, and I appreciate you calling in, my man. Thanks, Mark. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Al. Al is next up on PTL. What's up, Al?
Hey, can you hear me okay? I got you on
Yes, sir.
Bluetooth. Is that okay? Can you?
You're good. Go
All
right ahead.
All right. This is really interesting. I'd like you to do a survey now. I'm a Republican. I strongly supported Trump in the last election. I will be voting for him. I'm not as big on him as I was before. But I kind of thought that Trump lost. He did lose the two last debates, in my opinion, with Biden.
Yeah.
And I was very disappointed.
I agree.
don't think he represented. And I was just curious if the people that call in, you asked him who won the last debate if they saw it. But
Yeah.
even though as a Trump supporter, I do feel that Biden, he smashed Trump, and I was very disappointed.
Al,
So
I'm going to take it a step.
Al,
I appreciate your honesty. I'm going to take it a step further. Who do you think this helps? The microphone is going to be turned off if it's not to you. Clearly, that helps Biden. It certainly doesn't help Trump. And there's going to be no live audience. I think both of those help Joe Biden. They do not help Donald Trump.
No, I think because I've been in debates, and I think that's fair for both. I think it's going to be fair for both. So I didn't like the way the last debate was, where people were mouthing off.
Yeah.
I actually remember Biden telling Trump to shut up. And I go, and Trump didn't say anything. So I think it's going to be fair. I think it's going to be a lot fairer, and we'll see, but I do have to admit that Trump's going to have to step it up, and I got to give Biden a little bit of a, man, right on, dude. I mean, you're stepping up for your party and representing, and let's see what happens.
Hey,
But,
Al, what would you say to the Sean Hannitys and the Mark Levins and the Laura Ingrams and the right-wing MAGA politicians for the last year at least that have said Joe Biden's a coward, he's not going to step to the plate, he's not going to agree to debate Donald Trump, he's in decline, he's not going to do it. What would you say to all those Republicans as a Republican?
Let me tell you, not only will I say it to them, but I'm going to say that I'm more of a right middle Republican, common sense. I'm willing to work with anybody who believes in conservative values. You can be a conservative Democrat. You can be a conservative nonpartisan. Okay, my message is not only to all these far right wingers and not those far right wing radio guys, and to all of these far right wing politicians. Hey, man, the reason our country is messed up is because of you guys.
Yeah.
You're pulling people too far to the right. And we got to get more in the middle.
I agree.
And take care of the average person.
I agree, Al.
That's what I'm all about.
I appreciate your honesty, Al. And then, quite frankly, I wish, even though you are a Trump supporter and we disagree on that, at least you're willing to call out the MAGA Republicans out there that are not helping your party and, in turn, not helping the country. And I do appreciate you for doing that, Al. And I appreciate you calling in, my friend. Thank you so much. Good to hear from you. All right, here's what we're going to do now. I just received word. Wow, I can't believe I'm saying this on my show right now. It's unbelievable. The former president of the United States, we get really big guests on this show. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. joined us last week. Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be rejoining the show. We get big guests here, but probably none bigger than this. Donald J. Trump, the former president of the United States, has agreed to give us 10 minutes. He's going to be calling in here in just a few minutes. I got to get prepared mentally for this. This is going to be something special. So Donald J. Trump, the former president, is going to be joining us on the show next. We're going to take a quick break. You're not going to want to miss this. We're back with Donald Trump right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. No veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
My name is Kola Akimbade. I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas. As mayor, we will offset the off-season by diversifying our economy, bringing technology, high-paying jobs, and strengthening our entertainment industry. In order to tackle this issue of homelessness, we need new money because the budget will never be enough. Therefore, we will legalize prostitution and tax money will flow. Today, go to our website, Kola, K-O-L-A, kolaformayor.com, and my phone number, 725-263-2660. Support our campaign and donate today. Again, kolaformayor.com at 725-263-2660. My name is Kola Akimbade, and I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas.
I am Eva Olivia Chase, candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, Democrat with progressive ideas, including a woman's right to choose, public money for public schools, student debt relief reduction, and forgiveness. As a trans woman and a veteran, I will fight to protect the democracy of our country. Vote and support Eva Olivia Chase for Nevada State Assembly District 16.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Residents of Las Vegas, Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your people's choice for City Council. With a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen, I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, sometimes it's a little difficult to get in contact with the former president, Donald J. Trump, but we're hearing from his people. They're delayed a few minutes, but he will be joining us momentarily. So sit tight. Donald J. Trump is coming. I'm not making this stuff up. We are actually trying to get in touch with his people, and he's a little busy, so give him a couple minutes, and we will get him on the show here momentarily, as I said earlier, so stick around. So coming up here in hour number 2, we are going to be speaking with a guy by the name of Anna Mockler, who did an interview with Mike Lindell, who's just unhinged in this interview. It's wild and it's crazy. And it's got over 1 million views on social media, so we will be talking to him a little bit later on in the program. In the first segment, what we have talked about is the fact that Donald Trump and Joe Biden have agreed to a debate. The first one, I believe, will be at the end of June. I think it's June 27th. It's going to be a CNN debate. And this is a big deal. It's a big deal for a lot of different reasons. A lot of people on the far right made the claim that Joe Biden would cower up, like he would not agree to do this type of debate. He's lost his mind. He's in the bunker. He's got Alzheimer's. He's a coward. You heard every name in the book when it came to Joe Biden from the far right. And now, all of a sudden, he's not only agreed to one debate. I only thought he would do one debate. They've already agreed to 2 debates. So what happened to all those people on the far right? What happened? 702-221-7283 is the number to call. But before we take some more phone calls, because we're Trump here to join us here in just a few minutes, I do want to play you part of this interview because this is the MAGA cult. Mike Lindell is part of the MAGA cult. And Mike Lindell is still touring around saying that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. He's still talking about Dominion voting machines, right? His symposium, which was an embarrassment. Election integrity. We got to get rid of these machines. We got to do paper ballots. you've been hearing about this time and time again. Now, obviously, if Donald Trump won in 2020, Mike Lindell wouldn't be on this tour of election integrity. Obviously, if Donald Trump won, there wouldn't have been a tour of the election was stolen and we need to get rid of these machines. So outside of a Trump rally, this kid does a great job, Adam Mockler. He really has a great YouTube feed, and he does a wonderful job. So he catches up with Mike Lindell, and here's Mike Lindell, unhinged, talking about election fraud. Have a listen to this.
No judge in the United States looked at any of the evidence based on merit. All the cases were thrown out on
33 of them were shot down into evidentiary reasons. The standing cases were people were looking for crazy remedies like flipping states entirely.
No, that's not true. I've got millions of dollars in this. All the cases that were brought up, no judge looked at the evidence based on merit. They were kicked out on standing, and they kicked the can down the road.
That is 150% a lie and not true. What Mike Lindell is spewing is a bunch of BS, and that is a lie. Donald Trump had 61 opportunities, at least his attorneys did, in a courtroom, and in some of those cases had every opportunity to present evidence. They didn't have any that the election was stolen or that there was widespread voter fraud that could have overturned the outcome of an election. Nobody to this day has shown any evidence, including that moron Dinesh D'Souza in that stupid 2000 Mules documentary full of lies, all debunked information, and no evidence of one crime being committed in that entire documentary. So here's where the part of the interview gets really interesting. Keep in mind, it's almost like a Klan rally, right? You got all these Trump supporters. Yes, they all happen to be white. All these Trump supporters now surrounding this poor kid, Adam Mockler, who I thought did a fantastic job in this interview. They're surrounding him like it's some sort of Klan rally or something. And they start attacking him, and it even gets to, at least verbally, it even gets to the point where Mike Lindell starts to get a little annoyed, and it is absolutely hilarious. Have a listen to this.
I'm the one lying, man.
You just said that the judges ruled that there was no evidence of fraud.
They were shot down on evidentiary reasons. Half of them were.
Show me one case based on merit. Nobody looked at the machine.
There's a case in Georgia where.
Let me just tell you. That's right. Let me just tell you.
It's a free country, guys.
Let me just tell you. The Georgia judge, Obama appointed. How do you explain right in front of him? Hey, hold on. Would you let me talk to him, please?
Would you let me talk to him, please? Even like the big Trump MAGA supporters are getting on Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell's getting a little upset with them. Absolutely hilarious. What a nut job. Does this sound like a guy who's still not on drugs? By the way, I ask you all that question. Mike Lindell is still on the Dominion tour. He's still talking about the Dominion voting machines. Does he want to get sued again? This is a guy who's filed for bankruptcy. He can't even afford to pay his rent. He can't afford to pay Fox News for the advertisements anymore. And now he still is talking about Dominion voting machines. Oh, yeah, by the way, zero evidence that Dominion voting machines were rigged, like Mike Lindell would lead you to believe, or that somehow they were in favor of Joe Biden and they weren't fair and there was cheating going on. That's why Fox News had to pay Dominion over $800 million. So here's the former crackhead, Mike Lindell, talking about Dominion voting machines. Listen to this.
You won't talk about Dominion or Smart Man. You're protecting them. Why? They've attacked companies like MyPillow. I didn't change.
Why did Fox News settle with Dominion, in your opinion?
Why did Fox News settle with Dominion?
Yeah.
Why don't you ask Fox News? They never asked me for evidence. Nothing.
Because Fox News is full of shit. I'm sorry, but Fox News is full of BS. When they say that Dominion voting machines are rigged and they settle out of courts, I'm sorry, but Dominion is not as rigged as you guys say.
You know what?
Over and over, you come up with these.
Problem in this country.
I am?
Yes, you are.
You're the one undermining our elections consistently, spreading these lies about widespread election fraud.
No lies.
So you're saying there's top-down election fraud in all of these swing states.
It's a uniparty. The Democrats wanted these machines gone.
The Democrats wanted the machines gone. There's no evidence of that either. Mike Lindell was a liar, just like Fox News and anybody. There's literally zero evidence. And anybody that says that the machines are rigged, anybody that says that they were rigged in favor of Joe Biden, anybody who makes idiotic claims like that, they're either not very intelligent or they're intentionally lying. Both are dangerous. Both are dangerous. Now, if you have evidence, and if there was evidence that the Dominion voting machines were rigged, then why didn't Fox News present them in a court of law? They just decided to pay up almost $1 billion they paid, over $800 million. So if the Dominion voting machines, if the argument is that the Dominion voting machines are somehow rigged, then where's the evidence? Now, obviously, there is no evidence, right? Obviously. Because if there was evidence, Fox News and the attorneys would have presented it in a court of law, which they were unable to do. I mean, this guy, Mike Lindell, is so unhinged. His pillows are some of the worst pillows I've ever slept on, by the way. They are lumpy pillows. I know that gets him very upset. His pillows are the worst. This is towards the end of the interview now. And again, Adam Mockler, I thought he did just a wonderful job. Listen to the unhinged Mike Lindell as he's constantly being challenged on his BS and lies. Have a listen to this.
I'm the one that's got the evidence. I paid millions of dollars and did my own investigations and got the evidence. Donald Trump had nothing to do with that.
So Donald Trump didn't pay a single penny out of his own pocket, but you're bankrupting yourself? Maybe you believe it, but Donald Trump, he's been using super PAC money to fund these lawsuits that he's lost over and over. He's lost.
You know what? Why don't you talk about me? Talk about me. I'm telling you, I want paper ballots hand counted. What do you got against me? What did I do? I was an ex-crack addict, the American dream. I have 2,000 employees that have been attacked by people like you over and over and over again. Why? Because I want paper ballots hand counted.
Can I ask you a
Why are
question?
you attacking me because I want paper ballots hand counted?
I'm not attacking you because you want paper ballots. I'm attacking you because you're spreading lies about election fraud that haven't been
Yeah.
You're the ones that, yes, they have been proven.
What an unhinged idiot. Adam Mockler is 150% correct. By the way, you have all these Klan Trump supporters surrounding them. Quite intimidating, by the way. Very diverse crowd. And then you have Mike Lindell still trying to make the argument that Dominion is rigged. I asked you all, you conspiracy theorist buffoons out there, if you still think that the 2020 election was stolen. And I'm laughing because you got to be a certain type of special person to actually believe that. Mike Lindell, here's what I think about Mike Lindell. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. Okay? Mike Lindell is a snake oil salesman. I don't believe Mike Lindell believes this stuff. I don't. I really don't. I personally believe that Mike Lindell decided to spew this BS in his support of Donald Trump because he thought it would make his brand bigger. He would sell more pillows and he would make more money. That's what I believe. And it backfired on him. He's now filed for bankruptcy. He can't afford rent in many of his warehouses. He can't afford his commercials anymore. That's what I think. Just like the Rudy Giulianis of the world and many others that have supported Donald Trump and gone above and beyond to lie for Donald Trump. Sidney Powell, Mr. Meadows, Bill Barr, a lot of the people that worked in Donald Trump's administration. I believe the reason why Lindell did this is not because he's got a genuine bone in his body. He knows he's lying. The reason why Mike Lindell did this is not because he cares about election integrity or he even cares about the country. It was his bottom line. And how do I know this? If you go to any of these Mike Lindell Network or Mike Lindell speeches or Mike Lindell Symposium, what do you see? All you have to do is you have to look at the fact that he tries to sell his My Pillows and make money off of them. His lumpy pillows, by the way. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and my great pleasure to introduce to you a man that has been very busy inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom, but I am so honored that he has decided to take a few minutes to join us on PTL. Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th President of the United States, certainly an honor to have Donald J. Trump joining us on the line. Mr. President, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, my friend. How are you?
Absolutely, Brian. I meant to call in earlier, but, there's a lot going on. But I'm so happy to be on your show. You know how much I love Las Vegas and how much I love the Jewish people. And you're Jewish, which I think is tremendous.
It is tremendous, but since you brought up the Jewish people, Mr. President, do you believe if somebody Jewish, you said, doesn't vote for you, that there's something wrong with them and they hate their religion. Would you like to clarify those comments, Mr. President?
No, you said it perfectly. You said it perfectly.
I did.
You were very clear. You were very clear. I appreciate that. If you're Jewish and you vote for Sleepy Joe, Hamas, Biden, then you're not Jewish. You know, remember he said you ain't black. Well, Brian, if you do that, you ain't Jewish.
Well, some people might sound that offensive, Mr. President, but I got to ask you, why do you bring up Hannibal Lecter? Like, I was looking at your press conference the other day. You do understand that Hannibal Lecter is not a real person. Do you understand that, Mr. President?
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely. But it was a great guy. You've seen the films, right?
I have.
You know what I mean? I'm having a friend for lunch. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And by the way, did you give Joe Biden a hard time when he said his uncle was eaten by cannibals?
I did
Cannibals?
not. I did not.
See that? It's always one-sided with me. I bring up a cannibal and I get a lot of heat for it. Joe Biden says his uncle was eaten by cannibals. No one says anything. Well, I have cannibal stories too, so I don't think it's fair that I can't mention my cannibals.
Hey, listen, I thought it was a great movie, and Sir Anthony Hopkins is a great actor. I just wanted you to clarify it and understanding that it's not a real person. That's all, Mr. President.
No, it's not a real person, but the problem is these insane asylums, these loony bins, these nut houses, these people are being sent because he should have been in a loony bin. He just probably would have eaten everybody. That's the problem. That's the problem with him.
Well, I mean, are you sure you're not talking about Chris Christie? Because you've made some eating remarks.
Oh, Chris Christie. I call him Chinella. Chris Christie. Yes, he's a big fella, that Chris Christie. Let me tell you.
He is. Okay, Mr. President, as you know, big news
More
today.
chins in a Chinese phone book.
He is a large man, Mr. President. I'll give you that. Mr. President.
A large man.
Mr. President, there's some big news that came out today, and that Joe Biden has agreed to debate you twice. Do you have any comment on that?
Absolutely. First off, who cares? Everyone cares about me. They don't care about Biden. They don't care about Biden. Who brings in the ratings? If Joe Biden debated anybody else, do you think he'd have any ratings? No, none whatsoever. They want me. I'm the big ticket guy. Joe Biden is just going to be like, oh, come on, man. Oh, sarsaparilla, malarkey. Oh, come on, Jack. That's all you're going to hear. But for me, you're going to hear policy. You're going to hear policy like the snake story and the fact that I don't pay taxes and, all that other stuff.
Does it bother you, Mr. President, that there's not going to be a live audience and they might turn your mic off if you're interrupting? Does that bother you at all?
Listen, I don't need a microphone. I was in Wildwood, New Jersey. You're from New Jersey, right?
Connecticut. Close, Mr. President.
Connecticut, very close. They're all the same. But I was in Wildwood, New Jersey. 100,000 people. 100,000 people. And the mics, the guys who did the sound system, who, by the way, I'm not paying, the mics cut out numerous times. And people can hear me. Do you know why? Because I'm in their heads. Wow. I'm in their heads. I don't need a microphone. These people love me. They can hear every word I say. They can be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 miles. As long as you're MAGA, you know what I mean? By the way, it's Make America Great Again. So it's MAGA Gaga. It's
MAGA Gaga. I gotta learn that.
Gaga.
Mr. President, we learned without getting too personal, Mr. President, but I have to ask you this question. Stormy Daniels said that the position that you prefer is missionary. Is that a true statement, or is Stormy Daniels lying?
No, you know what? I'm kind of an old school guy. Some people say I'm vanilla. I like the missionary. I like the reverse cowgirl. That's a good one too. I'm not crazy about doggy style because my belly, which by the way is very flat, but sometimes gets in the way. I can't, So missionary, it's classic. It's like classic Coke. You know what I mean? I always stick with the things that work.
But Mr. President, I would assume that this was embarrassing for you. I mean, you have a porn star on the stand saying you had unprotected sex with her. I mean, what do you make of this? This had to be very difficult for you to have to listen to. I heard you were falling asleep.
No, it wasn't. Listen. She inferred that I had a small organ. I stood up in court and said, I didn't know I'd be playing such a big cathedral. I mean, come on. I mean, she's had Mandingo. You know what I mean? Everything's small compared to that. And then she's been in these, I'm not going to say the word, but these videos with like 8, 9, 10 guys. I mean, come on, that's not a fair comparison.
That's true.
You know, and these
That's
guys
a fair
are
point.
professional.
That's
professional.
Mr. President, that's a very fair point. If you're just joining us, the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump. What do you make of Michael Cohen's testimony, Mr. President, the fixer? I mean, this was your personal attorney. What do you make of Mr. Cohen?
But, well, he's a liar. He's a huge liar. He would said a lot of things that weren't true. You know, he said I met with him every single day for 11 years. 11 years. I don't even remember him. I don't even remember. I got coffee sometimes. You know what I mean? And people, and then the prosecution said, Mr. Trump, he was your executive vice president for 11 years. I have to say, I don't remember the guy.
Well,
I don't remember the guy.
Mr. President, are you afraid that you're going to go to jail because you keep breaking these gag orders? You're attacking the judge and the jury. Like, are you ever going to stop?
Excuse me, Brian. I am on track. I did not break the gag order. I had Senator Tommy Tuberhead, Senator J.D. Vance, and Mike Johnson break the gag order for me yesterday. They're the ones who threatened the judge, threatened his daughter. They're the ones who said Judge Marchand lives at 1635 Riverside Drive in Scarsdale, and they have a silver Lexus in the driveway. I didn't say that.
All right.
I didn't say that.
Listen, fair enough, Mr. President. I would
And
imagine.
he's home every day after 6 p.m., just so my MAGA people know.
Okay, fair enough. Why is it that we rarely see you with Melania Trump these days, Mr. President? Like, where is the former First Lady?
You know what? I ask that every day. Somehow she got the transponder off her ankle. We don't know how that happened, but we will find her. We've got my best people on it. You know, I was able to find Obama's birth certificate, so we could easily find a middle-aged Slovenian woman with a son who's 9 feet tall.
Mr. President, are you that? Some people would consider that racist, the whole birther stuff. Man, why do you still keep talking about Barack Obama and the fact that you don't think he was born in this country?
Because he's running the show, Brian. He's running the show. He's the puppet master. That's why I mention him at my rallies. I don't say Biden's president. I say Obama is president because Obama is president.
All right, fair enough. What do you make of the fact that in the courtroom, Mr. President, the word orange turd has been used a lot, even by your own attorneys? Like when people call you orange turd or Cheeto Jesus, I would imagine that doesn't make you very happy to hear those words. Does that bother you, Mr. President?
Well, I honestly don't like orange turd, but I don't mind Cheeto Jesus because that puts me closer to Jesus. But honestly, it's not the words, Brian. It's not the words. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and these sketch artists are absolutely horrible. Like blind people draw better than these people. People with cerebral palsy draw better than these people. 5-year-olds with an Etch-a-Sketch draw better than these people. What? That doesn't even look like me. They don't even look like me. And you know, I call Stormy Horseface, but man, they made her look like a horse face. It was sad.
I'll leave that one alone, Mr.
sad.
President. I have to ask you one Robert F. Kennedy Jr. question because he came on the show last week. We talked a little bit about you. The interview
Did your ratings collapse? Your ratings collapse?
No, they actually were. I was on the interview was on The View and CNN and Fox News. They played part of the interview. What do you make of the fact?
Oh, that's right. You know what? I actually saw that. That is correct. That's right.
Yeah.
He was there with his worm, right? His worm girlfriend.
The worm brain. That's correct, Mr. President. Why are you afraid of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? Why won't you want him on the debate stage? Do you think he's going to take some of your votes away? Like, what's going on there?
Brian, honestly, he's polling at 4%. 4%. Why would I have him on the stage? I have to punch Biden in the face. I don't want to punch him in the face.
All right, well, hold on. You don't mean that literally. You're not going to physically punch
No.
Okay. I want to clarify.
You know what? Now this is going to go viral. People are saying I'm going to be violent. It's a phrase. You know, what do they call that? A euphemism.
Right.
A euphemism.
I know, but
You know what I mean?
But Mr. President, in some of your rallies in the past, you've made statements like that you want to punch people in the face, and
I do want to punch people in the face.
Who? Like, well, I'm just curious. Like, who would be on the top of your list? Not Joe Biden, I would assume, but like who would be on the list,
Oh,
Mr.
so
President?
every Democrat. I would like to line every Democrat up and just bam, next one, bam, next one, bam. You know what I mean?
Understood, but there's a lot of Republicans these days that you don't like either. What do you make of these Republicans like the Liz Cheneys, the Adam Kinzingers, the Chris Christies? There are a lot of people that are now against you, Mr. President.
Oh, you know what? These people can go suck an egg. None of these people have done anything. What did Liz Cheney do other than being was she a congressperson, right? What did she do?
Yeah, correct.
She did nothing. I mean, the only thing she did for me was vote with me 96% of the time. But other than that, she's horrible. She's horrible.
True. That is true, Mr. President. All right. Well, in closing, Mr. President, I want to ask you this. If you don't get the verdict that you want, Mr. President, which is a possibility, if you are a convicted felon, do you think that'll help you and your base if you're a convicted felon, or will it hurt you? And would you still want to be the president even if you eventually go to jail?
Well, hold on. Number one, I'm not going to get convicted. But if I do, I'm going to raise a lot of money off it. A lot of money. Believe me, a lot of money. And then secondly, know who loves jail? Know who loves jail?
Who's that?
Bikers. You ever seen the bikers for Trump?
I have, yes, I have.
Okay, listen, my people like jail. It's as simple as that. So we're going to have a lot of people who like the fact that I am a convicted felon. They're gonna vote for me more because of that.
All right. Well, hey, Mr. President, final question. Any message you want to send to people in the state of Nevada? The polls have actually been pretty good. They're looking good for you, Mr. President. What would you like to say?
They're looking very good. This used to be a blue state. Now, then they said it was purple. Now it's red. It's red and throbbing at this point. It's red and throbbing.
Red and throbbing. All right. Well, we'll have that.
Red and throbbing. So this is what I want to say to all of my Trump people in the state of Nevada. First off, vote early and often, which is very important. Secondly, when you go to the polls, stand around and look menacing. Stand around and look menacing, especially if you see any of those granola eaters in line to vote.
All right, fair enough, Mr. President. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. If you could please pass the telephone to your friend known on the Howard Stern Show as John DiDomenico, who is a phenomenal impersonator. If you could pass the phone to your friend John, that would be great.
Yeah. Here, how are you? Can you hear me?
Mr.
He hates giving the phone up. He hates giving the phone up.
John, you are the best. I love you, my friend. Boy, it's the gift that keeps on giving, Donald Trump, isn't it? Isn't it, John?
Oh my God, that rally in Wildwood, it's like I have a week of new videos just based on that.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. I mean, do you have more gigs now than even you had when he was president?
No, it's pretty much the same because I work in the corporate world, but I recently, believe it or not, I did a Christie Lake event for 60 people. Tommy Tuberville was there. He actually was there, and Lee Greenwood. Lee Greenwood opened for me because Trump was in New York. And I actually did the event. And Lee Greenwood, this is not a joke, gave me one of his Trump-endorsed Bibles.
You're kidding me. All right, so John, what do you do with that Bible? Like, do you hang it up in your home, or do you give it to a Trump supporter? Like, do you keep it?
Oh no, it's the greatest prop ever. Are you kidding me? I'm using it in my videos.
Oh my God, that's so great, John. You are the best, my friend. I listen to you on the Howard Stern Show all the time. You're the best. Maybe next time we have the president on, maybe we'll get Stormy Daniels on as well. I know you have someone who plays a very good Melania Trump. Maybe we can do that one day.
Oh, I would love that.
That would be fun as well. John, I love you. Hey, how can people check you out on social media? Your YouTube page is on fire. Or as Donald Trump said, throbbing.
It's red and throbbing. It's the Johnny D Show 1 on YouTube. We do a live press conference every Friday, except this Friday. But there's always new Trump material. I just put a video up about the Hannibal Lecter thing. They're great. We're getting a lot of traction on all the videos. On TikTok, I've got 5.9 million followers. Same thing, the Johnny D Show. Instagram, not as many people, but because that's more of a little different platform. But that's the Johnny D Show too. So if you put the Johnny D Show into the Google. If you put Johnny D into the Google machine, it'll come up with a bunch of stuff.
Oh, John, you are so talented, so funny, so good at what you do, and you're a great guy, and I always appreciate it when you take the time to come on, my friend. It's an honor, and whenever you come on the show, and look forward to talking to you soon, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
All
Talk
right.
to you, man.
Take
See you,
care.
bye.
John DiDomenico, he's one of the best in the business. He is so great. He's on the Howard Stern show all the time. He is the official Donald Trump impersonator. It's very difficult to get a Donald Trump impersonation spot on. I think he's the best in the world at that. And I will also say that it's difficult to be very funny while you're doing it. He is an A+ at both. It's just unbelievable. He's so funny. Oh, my God. He is the best. Speaking of the best, as far as acting goes, I think we all could agree, regardless of whether you agree with his politics or not, Robert De Niro's going to probably one of the best actors of all time of my generation, right? I mean, the guy's unbelievable. He made a very interesting and opinionated appearance on The View yesterday where they had to bleep out a lot of the words he was using, but we are going to play that for you when we come back. We will also open up the phone lines. I duped a lot of people. I think a lot of people actually thought that was Donald Trump until I started laughing. But that was fun. It's always good. You know, listen, we do a show where we talk about a lot of serious topics, right? A lot of serious issues that face a lot of people. It's also good to laugh a little bit and have a good time. So for any of you MAGA Trumpers out there that don't want to laugh or think that was offensive, suck it, okay? That's what I would say. We're here to have a good time and have fun as well. We talk about serious topics, but we also have a good time on this show, and John DiDomenico is one of the best in the business. All right, so we'll open up the phone lines. I know there's some people waiting patiently on hold. I promise I'll get to those calls on the other side. Adam Mockler, the young man who did that interview with Mike Lindell, is going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. 702-221-7283. And before I go to break, I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Pioneer Air. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he's having some air conditioning issues. I said, call my friends at Pioneer Air. Why? Well, they're going to give you repair discounts, extended warranties, a dedicated hotline, and guess what? If you call them and mention the name of the show, you're going to get up to a year of free scheduled maintenance. They come to your house. They check your system for free. No catch. We're not talking Trump University here. No, this isn't a scam. This is real. Pioneer Air has been around since the 1930s. Give them a call right now. 702-703-6346. Again, that number if you want to get a free year of scheduled maintenance worth up to $150. Area code 702-703-6346 and tell them that I sent you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll take some of your phone calls on the other side. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Did any of you think that was Donald Trump? I'd love to talk to you about that. I'd love to talk to you about that. I have people on social media that actually think that was the 45th president. That's the whole idea of it. We have a good time on this show. We'll take some phone calls on the other side. You're also going to hear from Robert De Niro when we come back. He made an appearance on The View. We're having some fun today. We'll take your calls on the other side. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign Bot Fun account and stay progressive.
My name is Kola Akimbade. I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas. As mayor, we will offset the off-season by diversifying our economy, bringing technology, high-paying jobs, and strengthening our entertainment industry. In order to tackle this issue of homelessness, we need new money. because the budget will never be enough. Therefore, we will legalize prostitution and tax money will flow. Today, go to our website, Cola, K-O-L-A, colaformayor.com, and my phone number, 725-263-2660. Support our campaign and donate today. Again, colaformayor.com at 725-263-2660. My name is Kola Akimbade, and I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your people's choice for City Council, with a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen. I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840. All right, welcome back to the show. It's Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. I seem to push the limits a lot when it comes to people on social media that sometimes are not willing to do the show, but they get very defensive when I say, "Why won't you come on my show?" And there's a local politician who's running for Congress. Her name is Elizabeth. And, some of these right-wingers, they only go on right-wing echo chamber shows with no following and no listenership. And they'll actually pay to do those shows, which I'm sure will really help their campaign. But then when I offer them a platform to come on a show that actually has a following and has listenership, they don't want to be challenged. So the husband's been going after me on social media, and he's been claiming that I have small genitalia. I wonder where he got that information from. I don't know. His wife? I don't know where he got that information from. I don't know. But maybe he's right. I don't know. But he's been going after my male body parts. And by the way, this is the husband of a Republican woman who's running for Congress, okay? And he's calling me the B word. He called me a bitch. And he's made fun of my genitalia. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but in my personal opinion, when a man goes after another man's genitalia out of nowhere, usually that means that there's some insecurity issues going on. And let me explain something else to all of you before I get back to the calls. When I say you wear the Donald Trump knee pads, it's not a sexual thing. What it means is that you kiss his ass. What it means is that you bow down to him. But somehow this lady's husband seems to think that I was demanding that she perform a sexual act, and that's exactly not what I say. I say that to all sorts of different people. It means you kiss the ass of Donald Trump. For example, the people wearing red ties that were in a courtroom yesterday supporting Donald Trump, I would say they wear the Donald Trump knee pads. It's not a sexual thing. It means you kiss his arse, for lack of a better term. Anybody with an IQ over 20 understands what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with sex or performing a sexual act. Just wanted to be clear on that. But yeah, you can go on my social media and you can see this woman, Elizabeth, who's running for Congress, her husband now making sophomoric attacks on me, like third-grade insults. It's very, very interesting and very telling. Now, if you're going to make those type of third-grade insults and you're going to make fun of someone's genitalia or whatever the case may be, then you're probably going to support Donald Trump. So it doesn't surprise me at all. With all that being said, this woman, Elizabeth, who talks about the Bible all the time, sounds like she has a very wholesome Christian husband. They are both welcome to come in studio, by the way. The platform is open, but they won't because they're cowards. Number to call, 702-221-7283. I hope all of you guys enjoyed the 45th President, Donald J. Trump, joining us on the show, also known as John D. Domenico from the Howard Stern Show. He's a personal friend of mine, and the guy's awesome. He's the best Trump impersonator on the planet. Hope everybody enjoyed that. All right, number to call, 702-221-7283. All right, I love my MAGA callers. I love all of them. They're all very special. Let's go to Patrick. No exception. Patrick is next on PTL. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, Brian. Yeah, man, got to tell you, the last couple of weeks have been highly entertaining watching the news. Just this last week, we had CNN's Fareed Zakaria say that he does not see a path for Joe Biden victory in 2024, and Democrats need to be honest about reality. And he has to admit that none of this is playing out as he thought it would. Just like on your show here, you've been talking about the Jack Smith and the Fannie Willis trials having a lot more traction than this Cohen trial, but now here we are, dependent on Cohen and a perjurer and a porn star, Stormy Daniels, who testified that she talks to dead people. These are your only hopes for getting a conviction before the election.
Well, I talk to, hold on a
second.
second. I talk to dead people sometimes. I don't know if they can hear me or not. Does that mean you're crazy?
I would imagine if you testified under oath that you talk to dead people, yeah, I think you've lost some credibility.
So
there,
have you lost any parents or brothers or sisters or anybody in your life you've never thought about talking to them or never went to their grave and spoke to them? You've never done anything like that in your life, Patrick?
Depend on Stormy Daniels and Cohen.
Patrick, I just asked you a question. Patrick, I just asked you a question. Let's focus. I would imagine, sadly, I'm sure you've lost family members just like I have. Have you never gone to a gravesite and spoken to them before? Just be honest with me. Just answer the question. Have you? Yes or no?
Oh, sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we agree. Okay, all right. So Patrick, so Patrick, under context, that's what she was talking about. So obviously, you just admitted to doing the same thing. Thank you for admitting that. All right, so she's
a medium and communicates with dead people.
So guess what, Patrick?
With dead people,
hey, Patrick, that's the woman that Donald Trump decided to have unprotected sex with, and then tried to hide it 2 weeks before an election. Would you say that would be good judgment?
Is this the trial that you had most hope for?
Patrick, answer my question. Patrick,
you said that really didn't have
Patrick,
much to it.
if we're gonna,
you did say
Patrick,
that
I'm happy to answer any of your questions, Patrick. But if we're going to have a conversation, you have to answer mine. That's how a conversation works. Okay. So I know you struggle, but I'm gonna ask the question again. This is the woman who you're attacking, who you're voting for, and Donald Trump, who decided to have unprotected sex with her, pay her $130,000 in hush money 2 weeks before an election. Would you say, forget about the criminality, would you say that's good judgment? What about the behavior? Would you condone the behavior, and would you say that's good judgment? Can you please answer that question?
I would say there's a lot of men out there that would like to sleep with a porn
I didn't
star,
ask you about a lot of men. I want you to focus on the question because I know you struggle. The question wasn't, would a lot of other men do that?
When did he have sex with Stormy? When was that? Brian?
So it happened 2 weeks after Melania Trump had Barron. This was about 10 years ago, or actually more than 10 years ago. This was 20 years ago. But that wasn't the question. Right. The question wasn't the time frame. I'm going to ask it now for a third time, and your answer
you
can't
be... You want to talk about something that happened in 2006.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the question again, regardless of whether it happened in the 1800s or in 2024, and regardless of whether you think a lot of, quote, other men would do the same thing. I'm now going to ask you for a fourth time. Having unprotected sex with Stormy Daniels at 2 weeks after your wife has a child, and then 2 weeks before the elections, paying her $130,000 in hush money, would you consider that good judgment, good behavior, yes or no?
I definitely think it's bad judgment, and I definitely think it's immoral.
Thank you.
But I'm not voting for a priest. I'm voting for a president.
Nobody said you have to vote for a priest. That wasn't the question. Okay, so you admit we're making some progress here, Patrick, even though I had to ask you 4 times. You agree that it was poor judgment. Okay, fair enough. let's go to the next part of this because you were quoting Fareed Zakaria on CNN. Do you care to quote any of the other legal experts that have spoken on CNN that have said to the contrary? Because Fareed Zakaria, by the way, is not a legal expert. Would you quote any legal experts specifically on CNN that said there's no case and 100% is going to be found not guilty? Can you quote any legal expert on CNN that has said that? Because you quoted Fareed Zakaria. Can you quote any legal experts that have the dozens that have said the opposite?
Well, what about you? Didn't you say?
Okay, so you can't. So you can't. Okay. Go ahead. Ask your question.
There are legal guys on CNN panels
Who?
that, yes, are saying that there's
Who?
not really
Who?
evidence of the crime, that he's involved in it yet. So,
Who?
yes, there
Who?
are people that.
Who? You had no problem.
I don't know the guy's
You
name.
don't know. Okay.
I don't know all the people.
Gotcha. You had no problem in naming Fareed Zakaria, but you can't name any of the legal experts. Okay, go ahead and ask your question, Patrick. I appreciate you answering my questions, which it took a while, but you did, which I appreciate.
Have you not said in the past, Brian, that the Cohen hush money trial had the least traction of the other?
Sure. So here's what I mean by that, Patrick, and I'm going to make an analogy. Patrick, what's your favorite sport? There's a reason why I'm asking.
Brian, just
I'm going to answer your question, Patrick. I need you to answer mine because I'm going to make an analogy that even I think somebody like you will understand. What's your favorite sport? Give me a sport.
I don't watch sports.
You don't watch
I don't
sports.
watch
Okay.
sports.
Okay. I'm going to pick a sport for you.
I
Basketball.
got better things to do with my time.
Gotcha. Clearly you do. You watch this show every day, which I appreciate. Okay, so I'm going to make a sports
It's
analogy for you.
entertaining to see y'all.
Thank you. Okay, Patrick, I'm going to Patrick, would you like me
Patrick,
would you like me to Patrick, would you like me to answer your question or are you just going to ramble on?
Evidence tampering is a serious issue, Brian.
Patrick, would you like me to answer your question? You asked me a question.
You had so much faith in Jack Smith, man.
Patrick, I'm going to ask you one more time. Would you like me to answer your question or are you going to interrupt me? I'm going to answer your question now. When I said that this case was the least probably strongest compared to the other 4 cases, here's what I meant by that, Patrick, so somebody like you can understand. If we took Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Wilt Chamberlain, and LeBron James, I would take those 4 and I would say the least best player of those 4 players, maybe you can make the argument Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Maybe. That doesn't mean I don't think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a great basketball player, just like in the Stormy Daniels case. That doesn't mean that I'm saying that there's no evidence or I don't think Donald Trump is going to be a convicted felon. I'm going to give you my opinion. I could be wrong. Here's my opinion on the Stormy case. I believe Donald Trump will be a convicted felon. I'm not saying he's going to be convicted on all 30-something counts, but I do believe he will be convicted of a felony. When I say it's the least of all 4 cases, that doesn't mean I don't think it's a strong case. It means I think it's the least strongest of the 4 cases. Just like I said, I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is probably not the best player of those 4 players. Patrick, does that not make any sense to you?
It makes great sense. So
Thank
Jack
you.
Smith, Michael Jordan, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Because he got schooled,
Okay.
my man.
So Patrick,
He
did you
got
not
schooled.
understand? Did you not understand the analogy that I just made? Because anybody with an IQ of 20 would understand what I just said. Do you understand?
Well, these trials aren't playing out the way you guys thought they were.
Okay, so first of all, there are not trials that are being played out. There is one trial, so I don't know what you mean by trials. That's number 1. Number 2, that is your opinion because you are a MAGA supporter, okay? That is your opinion, okay?
So
My
you think
opinion.
Jack Smith trial is going
Okay,
the
so
way you
Patrick,
thought it would?
okay, so let me ask you a question, Patrick. I'm going to make a deal with you right now.
Evidence tampering
I'm going to
is
make
not
a
good,
deal with
Brian.
you on the air right now because I'm a stand-up guy. I don't know if you're a
Okay.
stand-up guy, but here's what we're going to do. I'll make a bet with you. If Donald Trump is exonerated on all charges in the hush money case, I'm going to say on the air with you on the phone, I was wrong. I thought he'd be a convicted felon. I respect the jury's decision. Are you willing to do the same if he ends up being a convicted felon?
Oh, I think if he is convicted, it'll be a blessing to his campaign.
I didn't ask
and
you,
it'll
Patrick.
only help him in the polls.
Patrick, I need you to focus on the question. I didn't ask you if it was going to be a blessing to his campaign. I need you to focus. I just said I would admit that I was wrong on the air, and I respect the jury's decision if he's exonerated.
I'm not saying he's not going to be convicted or he is going to be
Patrick,
convicted.
I'm not
I think it's
asking you.
irrelevant.
Okay, Patrick.
Why would I admit to being wrong if I'm never saying that
Okay,
he's not going to be
so
convicted?
you just made the case to start this phone call that you think the case is weak. What the hell are you talking about? All right, Patrick, you're wasting my time. Have a nice day. Holy smokes. I just gave him the opportunity. By the way, I'll say that on the air regardless. I think Donald Trump's going to be a convicted felon in this case. If he's not, I'll own it. I'll admit it, and I will respect the jury's decision. Even though I might not agree with it, I will respect it. You see, when you ask these MAGA idiots, will you respect the jury's decision? Will you respect the outcome of a certain case? They won't answer the question. Just like when you ask them, will you respect the outcome of the 2024 election results if Trump loses? They won't answer that question either. But on the other side of it, if Trump wins, oh, they'll respect it. On the other side of it, if Trump is exonerated, they'll respect the jury's decision. You see where I'm going with that, ladies and gentlemen? Because they're hypocrites. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Joseph. Joseph is next up on PTL. What's up, Joseph?
Yeah, hey, Brian. Calling from California. And the whole thing about the debate between Biden and Trump, I say Biden looks determined to take on Trump. Unlike Trump, he's too chicken to go up against a debate. As for the microphones on the debate, I say it's a good thing because that's one way to shut Trump up, even though I love how Biden tells Trump to shut up.
That is true. Did you see how Joe Biden kind of clowned Donald Trump? He put out a short video saying, I'll debate you anytime, anywhere. I heard you're free on Wednesdays. I thought that was a funny little cheap shot there because, as you know, the court is not in session on Wednesdays. I thought that was pretty funny. Did you see that one?
Oh, I love that one. That's the best one I've ever seen.
That's a good one. Hey, can I ask you a question, though? Because I know you're a Biden supporter and you'll be voting for Biden, as I will, of course.
Well, I already did, actually.
Okay, cool. But my question to you is, do you think it's fair that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will not be on the stage, the debate stage?
Oh, boy, that's a tough question.
It is. But I'm curious to how you feel about that.
Well, would you believe that I wanted to see Kennedy on stage? Or
yeah, I believe that.
I think Kennedy can go on stage.
Listen, I haven't. Yeah, I agree with you. Listen, I haven't turned to, I'm going to be voting for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but certainly I have some respect for him, even though I disagree with him on a number of things. I don't think he's a bad guy. He deserves to be there on the stage. Let's hear from him. I don't have a problem with that at all. Give him one debate. I'm not saying give him a couple. Give him one debate. Let him be up there, and let's see how he does. I don't have a problem with that at all. Do you?
There's no problem with Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after all, he is a member of the Kennedy family, actually.
Yeah. I'd like him to bring some worms up on stage, though. That would be very entertaining. I would enjoy that. Maybe the candy worms. What are those called? The ones you buy at 7-Eleven. What are those candy worms? Yeah, that'd be funny.
The gummy worms.
Yeah, the gummy worms. I'd like him to offer those to Biden and Trump. I think that would be a great start to the debate. Anyway, good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate you. You have a great day. All right, you take care, bud. 702-221-7283. 702-221-SAVE. Even though I can't save you from worms on the brain, let's go to Kava. Kava is next on PTL. What's up, Kava?
Hi, Brian. How you doing today?
Hey, good, man.
So I was just listening to I'm just going to call it the orange turd just because he doesn't like it. So I have a question for all the MAGAs out there. So you guys just heard Donald J. Trump say that he wants to punch people who don't agree with him in the face. Now, sure, he can say he didn't mean it. Oh, he was joking. But threatening violence is never acceptable, ever. And Brian, you've even said it before. It's not okay to say you want to harm somebody. It's just not. There's no excuse for it.
No, there's no place for that in politics. And as you know, when Trump was running for president against Hillary, some people in the crowd, he said, I'd like to punch him in the face. He also offered to pay somebody's legal bills if they physically assaulted somebody. There's no place for that. And, coming up next, I'm going to be interviewing this guy, Adam Mockler, who has a great YouTube page, and he challenges people on the far right, similar to me in a lot of cases. And he does this.
I just don't get it.
He interviews this guy, Mike Lindell, outside a Trump rally, and like it was a Klan rally. And it's almost like Adam Mockler was the black guy in the middle of this Klan rally where they circle around him. It was kind of scary. I want to ask him about that. But I agree with you. The bottom line here, there's no place for it.
I don't understand, because how is that okay? But if Biden were to say it, there would be a dumpster fire coming after him.
You can say that
when Trump says it.
Can you imagine?
It's okay. He didn't mean it.
They have an aneurysm because Joe Biden looked at his watch for 1.5 seconds at a service member's funeral, and they had an aneurysm. Yet when Donald Trump says, I don't respect John McCain because he was captured, and he calls our brave men and women suckers and losers, the right completely ignores that. I'm not kidding. Sean Hannity did a 30-minute segment the other day. I almost played it on the air because it was so laughable and ridiculous. Sean Hannity did an entire segment about Joe Biden, who looked at his watch for 1 second at a service member's funeral, as if looking at your watch means that you're disrespecting all brave men and women in uniform. Yet when it comes to Donald Trump, they ignore everything. They ignore the comments he made about John McCain. He didn't want to go to Arlington Cemetery because it was raining. They ignore all the statements and comments that Donald Trump has made. But Joe Biden looks at his watch, and it's World War III, Kava.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And what's funny to me about it is when, you know how you said that Biden looked at his watch?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, he looked at his watch. So what? That doesn't mean anything. Yeah, maybe he was just checking something. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if Donald Trump did it,
yeah.
Oh, no, it's okay. He's paying attention.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you, Kava. I'm with you 100%, my friend. I appreciate the call. I do want to address somebody on social media who I agree with some of the time. I disagree with her statement here. Her name is Jenna. And she said, RFK Jr. lied to you about saying Biden is a bigger threat to democracy than Trump. All right, here's my opinion on that. Okay? I would tell you that there's a difference between lying and just disagreeing with somebody. I believe RFK Jr. believes that. I think he's wrong. I think he's mistaken when he said that on my show last week. That's just my personal opinion. All right, here's what I want to do. I want to take a quick break. Before I do, I want to talk to you guys about my good friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Jackson's, if you show your TAM card any Tuesday in May, you missed it yesterday. You get $50 in free slot play. Great food, great atmosphere, great bartenders, and Brian Slopak was just in studio the other day. Love having Brian in. Jackson's Bar and Grill, tell him I sent you. Okay, so I played you the audio. I played you some clips of some of this unhinged Mike Lindell interview and a guy by the name of Adam Mockler, who has a very, very popular YouTube page. He does a really good job, And I told you, it almost felt like a Klan rally when these Trump supporters were surrounding him. I would have been actually a little scared. But Mike Lindell, completely unhinged. And then when he starts speaking, he says, you might have seen me being attacked in the parking lot by a journalist. So I'm going to talk to Adam Mockler about that. It's an interview that has gone viral, and he did a great job. He's going to be joining us next. We'll be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Kelb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Kelb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Kola Akimbade. I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas. As mayor, we will offset the off-season by diversifying our economy, bringing technology, high-paying jobs, and strengthening our entertainment industry. In order to tackle this issue of homelessness, we need new money because the budget will never be enough. Therefore, we will legalize prostitution and tax money will flow. Today, go to our website, Kola, K-O-L-A, kolaformayor.com, and my phone number, 725-263-2660. Support our campaign and donate today. Again, kolaformayor.com at 725-263-2660. My name is Kola Akimbade, and I'm running for mayor of Las Vegas.
I am Eva Olivia Chase, candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, Democrat with progressive ideas, including a woman's right to choose. public money for public schools, student debt relief reduction, and forgiveness. As a trans woman and a veteran, I will fight to protect the democracy of our country. Vote and support Eva Olivia Chase for Nevada State Assembly, District 16.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Mike Lindell has been continuing to make the rounds, right? Talking about Dominion voting machines and how the 2020 election was stolen, attacks on our democracy. He's filed for bankruptcy at a number of his warehouses. He hasn't been able to afford to pay his bills. And he'll claim he's done it all for the American people, for you and me. Well, a guy by the name of Adam Mockler caught up with Mike Lindell outside one of the Trump rallies. And it got, I would say Lindell was extremely unhinged, and Mockler was just giving out facts, straight up facts. And obviously a guy like Mike Lindell can't handle that. I'm going to play you another small clip of it. This is Mike Lindell absolutely unhinged in this interview outside this Trump rally.
I'm the one that's got the evidence. I paid millions of dollars and did my own investigations and got the evidence. Donald Trump had nothing to do with that.
So Donald Trump didn't pay a single penny out of his own pocket, but you're bankrupting yourself? Maybe you believe it, but Donald Trump, he's been using super PAC money to fund these lawsuits that he's lost over and over. He's lost.
You know what? Why don't you talk about me? Talk about me. I'm telling you, I want paper ballots hand counted. What do you got against me? What did I do? I was an ex-crack addict, the American dream. I have 2,000 employees that have been attacked by people like you over and over and over again. Why? Because I want paper ballots hand counted.
Can I ask you a question?
Why are you attacking me because I want paper ballots hand counted?
I'm not attacking you because you want paper ballots. I'm attacking you because you're spreading lies about election fraud that haven't been proven.
You're the ones that, yes, they have been proven.
Absolutely, believably unhinged Mike Lindell. And this guy, Adam Mockler, got to him. It was a very entertaining interview, and at times a little scary with all these Trump supporters surrounding him. But Adam joins us right now on the show. I appreciate you being here, my man. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Brian. I'm glad to be back. I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and I like your stuff, my man. And I'm watching this interview. And did you know that you were going to be interviewing Mike Lindell? How did this work? Did you just go up to him and say, hey, can I ask you a few questions?
I did not know at all, and I actually was not as prepared as I could have been. I was just going to a normal Trump rally. That's like not even a thing, but I was going to my Trump rally for a normal shoot to talk to people about current issues, ask them about January 6th, democracy, Ukraine, Trump's court, Trump's trial. And someone came up to me. They're like, hey, Mike Lindell's over there. You should go try to talk to him. So I walked up and I said, I run a YouTube channel. It's an independent YouTube channel. And do you want to chat for 5 minutes? And he said, sure. Nice guy at first. And then 2 minutes into the debate, right when I start to call him out on his election fraud lies, he starts frothing at the mouth and gets incredibly unhinged. And honestly, I got a little more worked up than I usually do. Like in that clip you played, I was kind of yelling back, but like in the moment, I was surrounded by a bunch of people yelling stuff at me. So I kind of just started to raise my voice as well,
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because as you're interviewing him, it's with facts, by the way, you're throwing facts at him and he can't handle that, of course. He seems to be getting more and more frustrated and angry. And then this crowd surfaces, this crowd surrounding you, and then they start yelling at you. And it's even at a point where even you can see Lindell gets frustrated and he tells them to stop. Were you scared at all? I mean, these people they are just unhinged and they're not very bright, clearly. I mean, did that bother you at all? It was very odd. I mean, they just seem to surround you.
I wouldn't say I was scared. I mean, there were a few moments where my cameraman and I gave each other a look and we were like, we are in the thick of it right now. We are surrounded by MAGA supporters. But yeah, we were ready to dip at any moment if we needed to. And the funny thing is, Mike Lindell went on stage after and said he got attacked by me. But if anything, he was inciting the crowd against me. Because there's a moment where he puts his hand on my shoulder. He's like, everybody needs to pray for this guy. Pray for this guy. Then he turns to the crowd and he goes, are you working for Dominion voting? Hey, this guy works for Dominion. So if anything, I'm not going to say I was a victim in this situation, but if anything, he was trying to incite the crowd against me. I did not attack him. Other than I put him in a chokehold after the camera turned off. But, yeah.
Well, it's amazing because this interview got over 1 million views, rightfully so. It's very entertaining. I want to ask you this because I don't know if you agree with me on this or not. I actually do not believe that Mike Lindell believes the things that he says. What I think is, like many of these MAGAs, these Trump MAGAs out there that surround themselves around Trump, he thought it would be good for his brand, and he latched himself to Donald Trump with he thought he'd get a bunch of free advertising and it'd promote his pillows, and for a little while that did happen, and then it backfired on him. I don't actually believe that when Mike Lindell looks you in the eye and says, I'm doing this for people like you, I care about election integrity, I think he only cares about himself and his brand, which is now going down the toilet slowly but surely.
I also think that he got into it because of his brand and then he only cares about himself. But I actually do think that he believes the election fraud lie. And I said this to his face. I said, Donald Trump has not spent a single penny out of his own pocket. He relies on super PAC money, yet you've practically bankrupted yourself. I mean, he told me he spent $40 million of his own money. So it's like, I honestly think that he was conned by Donald Trump. And I said that to his face. I said, you've been conned and you're now bankrupting yourself effectively. So I do think he believes it. I think he's been misled. I also, at the risk of sounding insensitive, I do think the drug use has taken a long-term toll on him. I'm not just speculating. Like when I was looking him in the eye, I could tell that this guy was
not all there.
He was unhinged. Exactly. He was not all there. He was unhinged. And genuinely unhinged person. Like usually when I'm talking to Trump supporters, I can see a little bit of humanity peeking through, but this guy was just a talking point machine with spit coming out of his mouth. And it was insane, dude. Insane.
Yeah. So I think that makes sense what you just said. I think a lot of the drug use probably has affected him a little bit. There's no question about that. It's hard to interview this guy. Constantly talks over you, interrupts, doesn't let you get a question or a word in edgewise. You asked him a really important question. And Adam, it's the same question that I ask a lot of Republicans that believe the 2020 election was stolen. And a lot of them still do, as you know. And did Mike Pence do the right thing? What did you make of January 6th? Do you think Mike Pence did the right thing? And so many of these Republicans refuse to answer. And I find it interesting because Mike Lindell's entire platform on this nonsense is he said time and time again that he believes Trump won the 2020 election. And then all of a sudden, when you ask him this question, not only does he refuse to answer it, but he says, I just want to talk about the future. I don't want to talk about the past, when all he does is talk about the past, right?
Literally all he does. Yeah. And sorry, we're going to say something?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So it's just interesting. I asked this question to Republicans a lot. Do you think Mike Pence was justified when he let the peaceful transfer of power happen, even though it was delayed? And surprisingly, about half of them say yes, Mike Pence did the right thing. And the other half say that no, he should have given it like 10 days. Or they say they should have investigated the election fraud, which that one makes me really mad because they did. They went through all of the legal means to investigate election fraud after the election happened. They went through 62 court cases, lost every single one. Then Donald Trump started to call different officials around the country. And it just really frustrates me when MAGA supporters can't see this direct line between Donald Trump's rhetoric leading up to the election, after the election on January 6th. There's a direct line between that and then people walking from the ellipse to the Capitol chanting, hang Mike Pence, because Mike Pence was in there certifying the results of the election. So that's just a natural question. Do you think do you think Mike Pence should have certified the results, or do you think the people outside were right when they were asking him not to? And yeah, MAGA supporters really have to think hard about that one when they shouldn't. The peaceful transfer of power has been the precedent for all of American history, and I'm glad that it still is.
Yes, I agree. So, Adam, you go to a lot of these events. You go to a lot of these Trump rallies. You speak to a lot of Trump supporters, which I appreciate. I think there's two different types of supporters, but you're out there a lot more than me. So you would tell me if you agree or not. I think there's a part of Donald Trump's base that are very uneducated. They're not very intelligent. Perhaps some of them are brainwashed and they're not able to separate fact from fiction. And they believe everything Donald Trump says. They're cultists, cult members. And then there's a portion of Trump's base, which I believe are even more dangerous. They know that Donald Trump is full of BS. They know that everything he says is a lie. They know he's a terrible human being, but they lie. And they lie for him, either because they want more money in their bank account if they're the top 1%. They want to remain in power if they're a politician, or they're a wannabe politician. Would you agree with me that those are kind of the two different types of Trump supporters today in 2024?
Absolutely. There may even be a third type. So there's the Trump supporters who know better. Imagine somebody like, this is an extreme example, but like Tucker Carlson. We know that he didn't believe the election fraud lies. We know that he didn't believe Sidney Powell, but he kept spewing those lies. A lot of Trump supporters are like that. They know better, yet they continue to lean into the MAGA cult. There's also the hardcore cultists who don't really know much about politics. They're sort of like, they kind of come to these rallies because they like it as a sporting event, let's say. There are also, I'd say, in my opinion, there's a third tier of Trump supporters who are apolitical, but they're not cultists. So I met the Trump supporter at the last rally I went to, the one where I talked to Mike Lindell, and this dude was wearing a MAGA hat, and he said, I hated January 6th. I don't like Trump's rhetoric a lot of the time. So this guy wasn't a cultist, but he said, I just think the economy was better under Trump. I think gas prices were lower under Trump. So somebody who just, if you can imagine, I think a lot of the American populace like this. They just casually pay attention to politics. They go based off of vibes. And what's the most visible indicator to somebody every single day? It's the gas prices. On the gas station signs, when you drive past it on the way to work, you can see if that is going up or down. So I think those two types absolutely exist, but a lot of these Trump supporters are just like, I always say, it's like my aunt or my uncle who have been misled into voting against their own interests. Are they bad people? No, not at all. I talk to a lot of these Trump supporters, and they're great people. They say they just want their family to be happy. They want to be financially secure. I mean, I talked to this woman a few weeks back who told me that she has an autistic son and she really just needs help with therapy for her autistic son, but she can't afford it. So I was like, do you think that the government should be able to step in and provide a bare necessity amount of healthcare? And she said, no, that's socialism. That's what the Democrats are for. That's evil. So it's like, this is a good person. This wasn't a bad person. It was just a mom with a son who needed therapy. But she's so, sorry about that. She's so misled into voting against her own interests that sorry, turn out disturbed.
Right.
She's so misled into voting against her own interests that she has these blinders on. She doesn't know that the Democrats would actually help her out more on a day-to-day basis.
Uneducated on the issues. So this is the part that because you're more patient than I am. This is the part where I get really frustrated when we're not really talking about policy. We're just talking about behavior.
Yep.
And I say to these people, I say, okay, you don't like some of Biden's policies. We can disagree on that. Fine. But how do you look yourself in the mirror and look at your wife or look at your daughter or whoever and say, I'm going to support a liable sexual abuser. I'm going to support the guy who attacks women on looks, who's got almost 30 women that have accused him of sexual assault or rape. How do you look in the mirror and say, geez, I don't like Joe Biden's policy so much that I'm willing to vote for somebody who a judge in a courtroom characterized as a rapist?
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that Donald Trump has floated the idea of tracking people's pregnancies if he gets a second term. He said he'd be okay with that, leaving it up to the states, which by leaving it up to the states, you're leaving them open to doing the most extreme measure each time. And then also some Republicans were floated tracking people's periods, which is also disgusting. So yeah, it blows my mind that like, even if you agree with Donald Trump on some stuff, you think he says it like it is, that you also in the same breath can vote for him even if you have a wife or a daughter. I mean, that part really blows my mind.
It does. No, you're right. If you're just joining us, his name is Adam Mockler. Please check out his YouTube page. He recently just did an interview with Mike Lindell. It's got over 1 million views, and it is off the rails crazy. Not because Adam did anything wrong, but Mike, it just completely off the rails. So moving forward now, let's just talk about the big news today. I just want to get your thoughts on this because I've been talking about it a lot today. The fact that, all these MAGA Republicans out there were saying, Joe Biden's a coward. He's not going to debate Donald Trump. He's in the bunker. He's this, he's that. Where are all these people today? Joe Biden has not only admitted to doing one, but doing 2 debates. Are they going to retract? That's one of my biggest criticisms of Republicans, right? They throw out a conspiracy theory or a lie, and then when it's debunked, they don't retract. They just move on to something else. Joe Biden's admitted to doing 2 debates. Where are all these people?
Yeah, now they're on Twitter shifting the goalposts, right? So I saw Charlie Kirk tweet something to the effect of, Joe Biden wants mics to be cut off when the other person is done speaking. What a coward. And it's like, did you watch the 2020 debate? Did you watch it all what happened when Donald Trump kept cutting off Joe Biden, who is known to have a stutter? And I'm not going to say Donald Trump was taking advantage of that, but Donald Trump was definitely trying to play into the fact that Joe Biden has a stutter. He'd cut him off, try to make him stutter. And I think these people will just continue to move the goalposts. And something that's really funny is I was checking Trump's Truth Social before I recorded earlier, and he's already tweeting about some Fox News debate on October 2nd. So it seems like he's laying the groundwork to potentially drop out of the debates because they're not hosted in the forum that he would like. As far as I'm aware, they only agreed to a CNN and an ABC debate, and neither of them were in October. And now Donald Trump has made up this Fox News debate for October 2nd. So I don't get what his game plan is here, but MAGA has a slick way of coming up with an excuse anytime anything bad or anytime Trump does anything bad. So if Trump did drop out of both of the debates, I guarantee you Charlie Kirk, who probably said Biden's a coward for not debating last month, would say, oh, but the forums that they're being hosted in are not optimal for Donald Trump. There is always a way to shift the goalposts, and that's the most frustrating part.
For anybody out there that thinks it's okay to interrupt another candidate during a debate when it's their time is an idiot. And Charlie Kirk is an idiot. And the fact that he would go on social media and say that that's not a good thing, where most Americans, even people on the far right that are friends of mine on social media, are agreeing with me. This is a good thing. You shouldn't be allowed to interrupt. That goes for Joe Biden as well, which he wouldn't do, which he hasn't done. It goes for both candidates. When it's your time, you speak. When it's your opportunity to respond, you respond. And we don't need a live crowd there. This isn't a show, right? This is about educating the American people, and both candidates talking about their plan for the future. This isn't about entertainment. We know that's what Donald Trump MAGA cult want. They want to be entertained. They want to hear the insults about Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family. So I don't know. It's just absurd to me. Do you agree with me? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, now I was just going to say really quickly, now they're shifting the goalposts again and saying, oh, Biden only agreed to 2 debates rather than 3. I thought it's supposed to be 3 debates. And I think Donald Trump really does want it to be a spectacle. He knows he's a showman who puts on makeup and he plays well in front of an audience sometimes. So I feel like he wants to turn it into the spectacle, like it's the movie Gladiator. But if anything, I think Joe Biden would be Maximus in that movie and Donald Trump would be Joaquin Phoenix because he's a snobby little, yeah.
Yeah, I like that analogy. I really do. Do you agree with me? You know, Joe Walsh was on the show earlier this week, and he said, and I agree with him, all Joe Biden really has to do is be even keel and just do what he did in those debates 4 years ago, and he'll be just fine. You know, prove to the American people that, you know, fit for the job, mentally fit for the job. He doesn't have to destroy Donald Trump. You know, just be even keel and prove to the American people that you're fit for another 4 years, right?
Yeah, and MAGA Republicans are setting the bar so low that Joe Biden simply just has to walk over it and he'll beat their expectations. And it also feels like if you just put them on stage side by side, that is all you need to do. You will see with certainty, if you have a brain, that Joe Biden is the respectable one. He's not unhinged. He's coherent. He may have a stutter, but he's coherent.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is not only incoherent, he just grabs the random thoughts, but he's a bully on stage. And I think that all you need to do is put them side by side. And even it's so clear how much smarter Joe Biden is. I think if you sat down Donald Trump and Joe Biden and you asked them both to explain the history and the intricacies of the conflict between Israel and Palestine, Biden would run circles around Donald Trump.
Agreed.
Biden would be able
Agreed.
to. Donald Trump probably doesn't even know that 1948 is like a year of an important year in the history of Israel Palestine. He knows
Agreed.
nothing.
He knows about Hannibal Lecter. That's about all. Like it's a real person. But I wanted to ask you, what do you make of the spectacle of the MAGA army, bunch of clowns that were in the courtroom yesterday for like 45 minutes, and then they walk outside and they do this little campaign ad for Donald Trump wearing their little red ties. I mean, I said on social media, you want to talk about a group of the most deplorable, despicable, and embarrassing people. That would be them. This group with Laura Trump. And of course, you had Vivek Ramaswamy and J.D. Vance was in the courtroom and Eric Trump was there. I mean, these are just, in my opinion, people that are an embarrassment to the Republican Party and to the country.
Absolutely. It feels like, so the last time you had me on, it was because I chatted with Vivek Ramaswamy about Ukraine, but now it feels like Donald Trump is kind of holding VP tryouts. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. And I think the favorite right now is J.D. Vance.
That's what I've heard.
Stefanik has been staying out of the limelight. It could be Vivek. I mean, he's lied. He came on this show and I asked him, do you want to be his VP? And he said, no. I think that's a lie. I think they all want to be in his administration. They all probably will be in his administration if he wins in November. And it's sad. I mean, the Tim Scotts of the world, I think that's another favorite. I just think this is an embarrassing bunch of people that will coddle to Donald Trump at no end. And it's sad. It's where the country's at right now.
Yeah, I feel like Donald Trump won't pick Vivek Ramaswamy for the same reason that Ann Coulter said she wouldn't vote for Vivek Ramaswamy because he's Indian, but also because generally I feel like Donald Trump doesn't want a VP that outshines him, that is more charismatic than him. And Vivek is definitely more charismatic. I mean, even think back to Mike Pence when he chose Mike Pence. He's boring as hell. So he chose Mike Pence because he didn't want someone who could outshine him. Obviously, he's not going to make the mistake of picking someone who's like establishment in his eyes. He's going to look for somebody who's an absolute loyalist. So I really do think it'll be somebody like JD Vance. Obviously, Kristi Noem is probably off the list right now after shooting her dog in the face. Yeah. But no, I mean, to go back to your original question about this group of MAGA Avengers walking behind Donald Trump or like behind Donald Trump's shoulder while he's giving these morning briefs, if you can call them that. I really do think it's just the worst of the worst in the MAGA world. All of these people are like Russian stooges, always spreading Russian propaganda. None of them think that the election was fair in 2020. Or I bet some of them are smart enough to know that it was fair, but they outwardly, like we were talking about earlier, they know better, but they still like to spread these lies, which is more disgusting, honestly.
Agree. To that being said, though, obviously we're both voting for Joe Biden. My vote, not that I dislike Joe Biden, but just like in 2020, it's an anti-Donald Trump vote. Even if it was RFK Jr. versus Trump, I'd vote for RFK Jr. I don't want that to happen, but with that being said, are you worried? Because I'm a little worried, especially after what happened in 2016. I don't spend too much attention to the polls because basically every poll showed that Hillary was going to win in 2016 and she didn't. But I'm looking at the polls and, I get a little worried. I'll be honest with you, Adam. I get a little worried. Are you worried like I am about what could happen in November?
Yes. And I just talked to Adam Kinzinger about this. We did an interview a few hours back, and I asked him that same question. I said, who do you think is going to win? And we both agreed that about a month ago, we were both very confident in Joe Biden. I was actually making bets with my friend because I was so certain. I made a $500 bet with my friend that Joe Biden will win in November, and that bet is still going. So the polling better tighten, obviously for bigger reasons than my bet, for democracy and stuff. But we both agreed that a month ago, we were very confident, but now we're not as confident. I mean, you see videos of pro-Palestine protesters and MAGA protesters both chanting F Joe Biden together. And it really makes you wonder, like, is Joe Biden really that hated? And obviously social media pushes the extremes to the front page. So most people understand the threat that Donald Trump poses. But I think we have every single right to be worried because if we look at polling from around this time in 2020, Joe Biden was leading by a comfortable 6 to 7 to 8 points in every single poll. I mean, there were obviously outliers, but if you go on the 538 website, they show the aggregate of this time in 2020. But now Donald Trump is winning by 1 to 2 points. And polling isn't always predictive of how the election turns out. Of course, we all need to understand that, especially polling 6 months out. But it should scare us that if you look at the polling 6 months out of the last election, Joe Biden was creaming Donald Trump, and the results were actually very close to what the poll said. And now it is so neck and neck that the electoral college advantage that Republicans have could win them the election, even if Biden wins the popular votes. So I think we should all be scared. I think we shouldn't be complacent, but there's so many avenues for us to like voice or to get our voices out. We can door knock, you can canvass in other ways, you can phone bank, you can go to meetings, you can make a social media account and start posting. There's so many different ways to do on the ground activism. And I think we just need to focus on that. Get out the vote.
I agree with everything you said. I will also say the extreme left maybe not doing Joe Biden any favors. And there's a few of them, not many, but the Rashida Tlaibs and the Ilhan Omars. I'm not a big fan of theirs, and they're probably not a big fan of me as well. But I think they've said some very insensitive, borderline anti-Semitic, especially Tlaib failing to call out Hamas. And it puts Joe Biden, I think, in a very peculiar situation. He's already in a very difficult situation. I want to see Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat leadership, call out the extreme far left as much as they call it the extreme right. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's definitely worth calling out the far left because if we don't, what happened to the Republican Party could very well happen to our party. Maybe not on the same scale. I mean, right now, like half of people sitting in Congress, maybe even more, think the 2020 election was stolen. You have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene who spew talking points from the Kremlin. But if we let the radical wing of the Democratic Party start to take control and we don't call it out, we do have that risk. And I guess the main hope is that people like Rashida Tlaib come home when November comes around. So in maybe October or November, we see her start to endorse Joe Biden and give a speech saying, hey, you don't have to agree with him on every single point, but if you care about any of these domestic issues, if you care about climate change, abortion, if you care about LGBTQ rights, if you care about education reform, gun reform, you can go down the list on every single domestic issue. Joe Biden blows Donald Trump out of the water on every single issue. And that's what I wish a lot of these pro-Palestine people would realize. And listen, I'm pro-Palestine to a certain extent too. I think we need to free Palestine from Hamas, but I think that it's okay if you disagree with the way Joe Biden has handled it, but that doesn't mean we should cede ground to MAGA lunatics. Honestly, if I'm going to be 100% honest, this all feels like a massive Russian psyop. Like Russia is just psyoping people my age to think that Joe Biden and Donald Trump are effectively the same, when that couldn't be farther from the truth.
No, I agree with you. And Joe Biden's, by the way, sent more artillery and money to Israel than any other modern day president. So I think we need to agree on that. The fact that some people would say that Joe Biden's anti-Israel is absurd.
That's what they say at the rallies. Yeah. It's so like my dad's, sorry to cut you off, but
No, it's okay.
my dad's Muslim. So we spend every single day arguing about this. And he's a rational dude. He's not pro Hamas or anything, of course. But he thinks that Joe Biden is super like he hates that Joe Biden calls himself a Zionist. But then I go to Trump rallies and they say Joe Biden is pro Hamas. So I've been going through this like mind warp over the past few months where I talked to my dad, then I talked to some Trump supporters in the same day. And I'm like, is Joe Biden pro Hamas or is he a genocidal maniac? I can't tell which one it is.
Yeah, that's have to educate people on the issue. It's good to have those conversations. But yeah, there's some crazy stuff coming from some of these people on these universities. Adam, I love what you do, my friend. I love your YouTube page. Great job with Mike Lindell. Keep up the wonderful work, my friend. And we look forward to having you on the show again soon. Great job, Adam. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, and I cannot wait to chat before the election.
Yes, absolutely. That's thank you for the time, Adam. That's Adam Mockler, everybody. He does a phenomenal job holding people to the fire. People like Mike Lindell and his lumpy pillows. I appreciate Adam for taking the time. He does a wonderful job. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. Find me on YouTube at PTL Radio Show. That's where you can find me easiest on X. I'm on all social media platforms, and we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm